Today, do you like sitting around, getting high, and thinking up video games? Yeah, computers do that now. This is Checkpoint. Welcome to Checkpoint. It's time for spring cleaning.
Just off camera, there are piles of shame.
Oh, I'm excited to see what's in most of those boxes.
And terrified to see what's in the rest.
It's shame. Big ups to Capcom for what might be the absolute sickest prank of 2025 so far. Monster Hunter Wilds just released, and with it, the dev worked in an arachnophobia mode. When enabled, all of the spiders in the game get replaced by tiny little slime blobs. Still dangerous, but less fear-inducing. But in a truly inspired twist to punk their player base. It's only the small spiders affected by the mode. The big ones, the truly Australia-class giant spider bosses like Nursilla and Lala Barina? No change. Can you imagine people who have never played Monster Hunter before finding and enabling the arachnophobia mode, thanking Capcom for mitigating what might just be a crippling, paralyzing fear for these people, then a few hours in, just springing a nightmare-inducing spectacle of a spider on them? I mean, certainly, this was the point, right? They didn't just forget that 2 of their giant monsters are spiders, right? This had to be on purpose, because it would be awful if a big developer half-assed their way through doing the right thing, and certainly wouldn't be anything worth making fun of. And that's why it's so sad that Nexus Mods user T-Shark-Lad crafted a mod even before playing the game to obscure the 2 monsters with giant blobs. Then worked in visual tells for attacks so that players would still know how to fight them. That mod is called Temnophobia mode. And if you're afraid of spiders, an actual serious fear that the built-in arachnophobia mode purports to alleviate and fails utterly, then definitely install it before Capcom devs start patching in more pranks.
Remember how, back before ThinkGeek was purchased and subsequently ruined by GameStop, they would do this fun thing where they'd announce a product for April Fools, show off some mock-ups of it, and then if there was enough interest, they'd actually make it for real? Well, what about that, but video games? And also it's bad instead of zany fun. Earlier this week, it was discovered that Activision was running ads on Instagram. Made with AI. Ugh. Of video games that don't exist. Guitar Hero Mobile, Crash Bandicoot Brawl, and Call of Duty Zombie Defender are not real games. And the art they used is also definitely not real, but they did run with real ads. And when you clicked on the ads, they apparently took users to a survey that said, oh, that game isn't real. But maybe it could be. Would you play it if it was? Ugh. This tactic isn't necessarily new or interesting, but analysts figure it's the first time it's been laid out so widely and so brazenly. And it doesn't help that it follows Activision finally being strong-armed into admitting that, yes, they do use AI. So would I play this game? No. And who is this? And who is this? And what is this?
They say that when given infinite time and typewriters, a bunch of monkeys will reproduce the complete works of Shakespeare. In the same vein, I think a better theory is, given infinite access to cornmeal, hot oil, and cheese powder, the Frito-Lay Top Secret Cheeto Extruder will produce a complete set of Pokemon Cheetos. So, good news, fellow cheese dust-loving Pokemon fans. A Cheeto that looks astonishingly like Charizard has sold at auction for just under $88,000. The Cheetozard, as I'll be calling it, was originally acquired and preserved by First and Goal Collectibles sometime between 2018 and 2022. But sometime in those heady Pandini years, the snack was forgotten about and eventually abandoned in a safe. It was then resold to Arena Club, where it was included as a prize in a mystery card pack, and from there made its way to Golden Auction House. Listed with an initial starting bid of $250, Cheetozard eventually sold for $72,000. But after that, the auction winner then had to pay an additional $15,000 for a buyer's premium, which is like an airport fee, but sounds way classier. But wait a second, are we sure this configuration of mass-produced fatty snack material is a genuine product of the Frito-Lay company and not some carefully sculpted forgery? I mean, not really, no. First and Goal promises they found it, and it's not the first time a Cheeto has looked like something else, but there's no certification authority for surprising food shapes. So what's next for our fire-breathing, flaming hot friend? Ideally, it adorns the gallery of someone with more urge to catch 'em all than sense, and remains in its double-layered plastic casing, hopefully staving off the cruel march of time and the corruption of airborne bacteria, until it is finally united with Chivi, Snorto, or the Holy Grail, Pikacheese.
Speaking of Cheetos, America's trade war has begun, and gamers are joining eaters and people who like to go places in suffering needless consequences. With Mexico, Canada, and China under tariffs, American consumers of game discs made in Mexico or PlayStations and Nvidia graphics cards made in China will be paying new fees. And of course, all these countries have enacted retaliatory tariffs on American goods, so at this point, conjecture about GTA 6 costing $100 or more is looking very likely, especially if you're Canadian, Mexican, or Chinese. But it's fine because GTA 6 is the bad boy of goods. As of this week, games and game hardware are affected, and the fate of digital copies remains to be seen, but an increase in price on that side is likely as well. Matt Piscatella, a video game analyst with Circana, speculated that many games aren't going to get physical versions at all, with studios opting for pure digital releases instead of trying to navigate the current state of the industry. On the sort of less sucky side, Nintendo might be dodging part of that bullet because they moved part of their manufacturing operation out of China back in 2019 because of Trump tariffs. That said, Nintendo still makes, well, some things in China, and now with tariffs on Chinese-made goods doubling from 10 to 20%, the Switch 2 is probably going to require a few more Yoshi coins than we might have initially guessed.
It's time for another sex point. That's right. This week, it's a masterclass on using the internet to ring that doorbell. Are you a closet voyeur who wants to sit at home, eyes glued to your monitor, waiting for your chance to spy the beast with two backs? Then tune into this Dutch Visdeurbel stream. That's right. If there's a country that knows how to do sin just right, it's the Netherlands. This live stream may look a little murky, but keep your eyes peeled, because just like watching scrambled cable at 2 a.m., you might catch a glimpse of fish trying to bone? Seriously? When you see a fish, you can tap an on-screen button to ring the fish doorbell, which alerts an on-site operator at the Utrecht Canal to open the canal gates. Oh my God, how is this even about sex? When the gates open, the fish can swim through to mate and lay eggs. There it is. I don't know what we call people who are into fish smut, not furries, maybe ichthyes or something. But I guess this is kind of a pseudo game that at least a few perverts are getting off to. 3 million people on the live stream last year? Shit. Graham, we gotta buy some fish costumes.
I am not wearing a fish costume.
We have multiple reels of footage of you cavorting about in an angler fish costume.
That is different. She is not a fish. She is a seaborn goddess. Coming up, remember PictoChat for the Nintendo DS? Solo dev Idris Hassan has made a new free message app called PicoChat, which lets you send PictoChat-style messages from your iPhone. But remember, you can only get the aesthetic of the 2000s back, and not your actual youth.
So Nintendo moved, you said they moved part of their stuff out of China.
Vietnam.
Oh, yeah. That makes,
not to America.
I thought it was going to be India, actually, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, Nelson wrote that story.
Yeah. Okay.
And he wrote the tariff story.
Right. Both Cheeto stories, did
Yes, he wrote both Cheeto stories.
I think he was feeling a vibe this week then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently the tariff story was not as fun to write as the Cheeto story.
No. I bet it wouldn't be. And get replaced by tiny little slime blobs. Bobs? I had a lot of fun reading about the Udegracht Canal. Udegracht. I probably stumbled that.
I don't know how to pronounce anything in Dutch.
It's fine. It's funny, though. I tuned into the video to watch them talk about it, and as I was sitting there, I was like, I surely I understand what he's saying. And then all of a sudden he switched to English. I'm like, oh no, I was clearly not understanding a word he was saying.
Yeah, but the thing is, because English and Dutch are actually...
They're from Frisian, very close to Frisian, right?
Yeah, they're all sort of like from this sort of like... So Dutch people went over, but they weren't Dutch at the time. They were Vikings. They went over to England and brought a bunch of words into their language and stuff like that. And then a bunch of French words came in. But a lot of those, there's a lot of words in the English language that are sort of from that sort of like, it's not technically Dutch or anything like that, but it's like sort of like this Proto-Germanic Central European language and stuff like that. And they have a lot of the same roots as other.
We were all kind of speaking it way back then. Yeah.
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 With fabulous regional dialects. Because people stayed in their little, people were more mobile than you thought in the Middle Ages and stuff like that, but people were not as widely traveled and exposed to the variety of accents that we are now.
Right.
That's different. The anglerfish is no mere fish. Fish.
Hey, thank you for supporting us on the channel here through patreon.com/loadingreadyrun and also through the store.loadingreadyrun.com, store.loadingreadyrun.com. That's what I said. And those of you who are supporting us on the YouTube channel, you're going to see your names come up here super fast. So thanks for sticking around. We'll see you later.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, I'd like to try that from the top without going...